What is up, everybody? I hope all of you guys have had an amazing week so far. I've probably put out a few less videos on my channel this week than typical. I usually do 2 a day. I've been more doing 1 a day because I've spent a lot of time writing my newsletter, which many of you guys have subscribed to, many of you guys are reading, which I really appreciate. And it's been fun to just process my thoughts about different things about the Packers by writing instead of doing multiple videos. But I will continue doing videos as always. And also this week, I live in Texas, as many of you guys know. It full on iced, and because in Texas, we're not used to the snow, the storms as people in Wisconsin are. The entire city shuts down, so it's been a nice time to sit back, drink some coffee, do some writing, and so it's been fun writing this week. And I will be out with a interesting article I'm excited about, and it's sort of breaking down a potential trade between the 49ers and Packers, which I want to explain, and I'll explain in the article or the newsletter later today. So if you want to read that, feel free to subscribe. I'll probably put a video out about the exact situation, exact topic, either tonight or tomorrow. So that'll be on this YouTube channel at that point. But now I want to get into a question I got yesterday about Joe Barry and this Packers defense. And over the past few weeks, I've sort of contemplated, the Packers' decision of bringing Joe Barry back in 2023, because now he's had 2 seasons in Green Bay, and I think that overall in these 2 seasons, while there have been some good moments, there's also been lots of bad moments. So overall, it's been a pretty inconsistent defense, I would say, for the Packers. And I think when you look at the end of the 2021 season, the way we went out in the playoffs against the 49ers at Lambeau Field, that was mainly a breakdown of the Packers offense where the defense in that game played lights out. And I think, at least for me, after seeing that performance in that game, the way the Packers defense played, that is one of the reasons I had so much hope that this really would be, maybe a top 5 defense in the NFL, and that did not happen, as we all know. We finished as the 17th ranked scoring defense in the NFL, even though I do think we had enough talent on there to be one of the best defenses in the NFL. And so when we look at the end of the Packers season, I think that's one of the reasons that Joe Barry stuck around, because personally, if the season would have ended after that Eagles game where with the Packers defense gave up 363 yards, if the season would have ended that day, I think there's no way Joe Barry would be here for 2023. Luckily for him, he was able to, cook up some good performances in the final 5 games, which I think convinced Matt LaFleur that it was good enough to keep him around for one more season. And while I honestly hope that we see more of what we saw from the Packers defense in those final 5 games, I'm wondering if we are going to see it, because we've seen lots of ups and downs with this Packers defense. There's been bad stretches, which was most of the season until, week 13 or 14. And when we do look at those final 5 games, 2 of those games were against teams under 500, one of those being the Bears, who are the worst team in the NFL, so we should have dominated that game. And then one game being against the Rams, who were without their 2 best players, Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp. So we shut those guys down. And then the game against the Miami Dolphins got torched in the first half. Second half, Tua seemed to maybe have suffered a concussion, and he throws 4 picks in the fourth quarter. And while I don't think we can take away, the Packers' great performance at the end of that game, props to the Packers D for getting it done, I don't think Tua was fully himself. There were just multiple bad decisions. Not that he doesn't make bad decisions, but the way when you compare his first half to his second half, I sort of wonder if that concussion was affecting him. So props to the defense for finishing off strong against the Vikings and the Lions. 2 solid defenses with lots of weapons held Justin Jefferson in check, because Joe Barry decided to allow Jair to follow Justin Jefferson more so than he did in week 1. And because of that, Justin Jefferson was really held in check. And then to hold the Lions in week 18 to 20 points, pretty solid job considering the Lions had been playing really well all season. So there is a reason to be hopeful that maybe we can see that same Packers defense in the final 5 games. And that's why, for myself personally, I was sort of debating, do I think it makes sense to bring Joe Barry back? And overall, I've come to the conclusion that if I personally was the one who had to make the decision, as head coach, as Matt LaFleur, to bring back Joe Barry or not, I think I would move on just for the reason of inconsistency over 2 years. I hope, because, I'm a diehard Packers fan at the end of the day. All I want to see is success for the Packers, and so, of course, that's what I will be rooting for. And, it seems like Joe Barry will be back in 2023, and so I'll be rooting for him to be the best defensive coordinator in the NFL. But if I had to make that decision, I just think that there's been too much inconsistency over 2 years with so much talent on this Packers defense that I think it may be time to move on. But I hope that he can do what he did in the final 5 games, the Packers defense can come back in 2023 and play as good as they did in those final 5 games, because if they can, there is some reason to be hopeful. We forced way more turnovers, and we will be getting Rashawn Gary back. But I feel like, considering how we went out last year playing really, really well, I just assumed we're going to start off that way, and that just didn't happen. So I feel like because of that, I'm more so aware that just because we finished strong doesn't mean this defense is going to come out strong in 2023. I hope it does, as I said, but I just don't know if we can know that for certain with the way that that happened in years prior. But that was sort of my take on Joe Barry. I was asked about it again yesterday, so I sort of wanted to give some more of my thoughts on that situation. That's pretty much all I have for this video. As I said, I'll be out with a article about a potential trade between the Packers and 49ers, or newsletter, whatever you want to call it, later today. And if you guys are subscribed to that newsletter, you will get that first, and I'll make a video either a few hours after that or maybe tomorrow morning or lunchtime. We'll see exactly when I have time to film that. But thank you so much for watching. As always, I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.